All right, Algebra 2, it's finally time. We're going to do the unit circle. So hopefully you have printed out your blank unit circle. You're probably going to want to print this out a couple times. But this is going to be your official unit circle. So before we start, let's remember that x, or x coordinates, are going to be equivalent to cosine. Talked about that in our last video. And our y values are going to be equivalent to sine. Okay, so this is a coordinate plane. So if we want to go through with degrees and radians, we're going to have 0 degrees and 0 pi, right? Here is going to be 90 degrees and pi over 2. All the way over here, we're at 180 degrees and pi. Then down here, we are at 3 pi over 2, and we're 270 degrees. And going all the way around is 360 degrees, or 2 pi. The coordinates, so this is the y-axis, okay, and this is the x-axis. So the coordinates are going to be as follows. The radius of the unit circle is 1. So I'm going to put parentheses for my coordinate points. Okay. So here, right, our y value, this is the x-axis. Our y value is going to be 0, and our x value right here is going to be 1. So this is the point 1, comma 0. Up here has an x value of 0 and a y value of 1. Now over here, our x values are on the left side, right, because this is the origin. So our x value is going to be at negative 1, comma 0. And down here, we're at the negative y values. So our x value is still 0, but our y value is now negative 1. Okay, so those are the quadrant angles. All right, so let's label the first quadrant to start. We did this in our last video. So right here, we're going to be 30 degrees, or pi over 6. Here, we're at 45 degrees, or pi over 4. And right here, we are at 60 degrees, or pi over 3. And the coordinates of the first quadrant okay, so the x value here, we derived it the other day, is going to be the square root of 3 over 2. The y value is 1/2. Then here, root 2 over 2, comma root 2 over 2. And then at 60 degrees, or pi over 3, our x value is 1/2. And our y value is root 3 over 2. Okay, so that is just quadrant 1, the quadrant angles, and the quadrant coordinates. So now let's talk about the patterns of the other quadrants. So we're going to start with degrees. So from here on out, it's all about reference angles really as far as degrees go. So if this is 30 degrees right here, this over here is going to be a 30-degree reference angle. So we can do what is 180 minus 30 degrees. Hopefully you are thinking 150 degrees. Okay. Similarly, if this angle is 45, Okay, this is going to also have a reference angle of 45. It's like we're folding it in half into the other quadrant. And so 180 minus 45 will give us 135. So this is 135. And then finally, 180 minus 60 will give us a reference angle of 120 degrees. Or sorry, the reference angle is 60 degrees, so 180 minus 60 is 120. Then we have our reference angles down here. So this will have a reference angle of 30 as well. So 180 plus 30 is going to give us 210 degrees. 180 plus 45 will give us 225. 180 plus 60 will give us 240 degrees. And then again over here we have more reference angles. So this is a reference angle of 30. 360 minus 30 is 330 degrees. 360 minus 45 is 315 degrees. And 360 minus 60 is 300 degrees. So that's how we're going to get all of our degree angles using reference angles. Now let's talk about radians. So I think it's better to think of radians using fractions, right? So if this is 1/6, right, this is 1/6, this is 2/6, which reduces to pi over 3. This is 3/6, which reduces to pi over 2. This is 4/6. And 4/6 is going to reduce to 2 pi over 3. Then after 4/6, we have 5/6. So 5/6 is going to be 5 pi over 6. Then we have 6/6, which is just pi. 7/6, or 7 pi over 6. 8/6, and 8 over 6 is going to reduce to 4 pi over 3. 9/6 is going to reduce to 3/2. 10/6 is going to reduce to 5 pi over 3. And then 11/6, or 11 pi over 6. And then if we go all the way, we get 12/6, which reduces to 2 pi. So all these angles you can think of as 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and count them out as fractions. Then we have our 45, or pi over 4. Same concept, except we're going to count out using fourths. So this is 1/4, 2/4, which reduces, 3/4, so 3 pi, 4/4, or pi, 5/4, so 5 pi over 4, 6/4, 7/4, or 7 pi over 4, and then 8/4, or 2 pi. Alright, so all that is now left are our coordinates. And we're going to go right back to reference angles. So this is root 3 over 2 comma 1/2. This coordinate, because it also has a reference angle of pi over 6 or 30 degrees, is going to have similar coordinates, root 3 over 2 comma 1/2. Except in quadrant 2, our x values are negative, so this should be negative root 3 over 2. Down here we also have a reference angle of 30 degrees, or pi over 6, but we're in the third quadrant, so our x's are going to be negative root 3 over 2, and our y values are going to be negative 1/2. And then finally in the fourth quadrant, where we have a reference angle of 30 degrees or pi over 6, our x values are positive in the fourth quadrant, but our y values are negative. And then we're going to follow this for the others. So if you wanted to, you could try to finish this on your own. Reference angle of pi over 4 or 45 degrees. So our x values will be negative. Y values will be positive in quadrant 2. In quadrant 3, they will both be negative. So we have negative root 2 over 2, comma negative root 2 over 2. And then in the fourth quadrant, our x's are positive. So we have root 2 over 2, comma negative root 2 over 2. Then finally, our reference angle of 60 degrees or pi over 3. So our x values in quadrant 2 are negative, so negative 1/2, positive root 3 over 2. Down here they're both negative, so negative 1/2, comma negative root 3 over 2. Then fourth quadrant, x is positive, so positive 1/2, comma negative root 3 over 2. And that is the entire unit circle. So if you know the first quadrant, you really could figure out everything using reference angles, although my tip is for the fractions to actually count out using fractions. I think that is easier to do.